Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Another video that is about money market hedging, and this time the money market hedging is the game of receipt. As we have already discussed in the last video that money market hedging is about hedging technique to protect the foreign exchange risk through the matching concept, number one, and the game is based on the borrowing and lending, the interest, the borrowing, lending, interest. So the another point that is about money market hedging, receipts. So candidate, what are the steps? Number one, first of all, we have to consider that in the case of export, you have to receive export or receipt exposure. We have now foreign currency asset. To counter the foreign currency asset is based on foreign currency liability. We have to develop a foreign currency liability. The enough liability which will equal to certain amount after some time. For example, the time period is 1 year. Let's say the foreign currency is US dollar and local currency is sterling. So we have to pay the foreign currency sterling, for example, let's suppose, foreign currency that is sterling and local currency US dollar. And the game is about 100,000 sterling. 100,000 sterling. We have to pay 100,000 sterling after 1 year. So we have to make the foreign currency liability now enough that after 1 year, the bank demand us to pay the total amount, including the interest, equal to 100,000 sterling. So foreign currency liability accordingly. And what will actually happen after 1 year, if the bank asks me to pay the principal plus interest? On the other hand, customer, I will receive the 100,000 sterling, same amount from the customer, and have to pay to the bank. So our liability equal to the asset that will be received. So liability match with the asset, and our protection during the market, we have developed a protection during there with the market. What is our mindset? That after 1 year, whatever the fluctuation in the foreign currency, we have to protect it. And if we arrange some liability now, and after 1 year have to make the payment to the to the bank, customer will pay to us, we will receive from the customer and pay to the bank. That means the fluctuation become over. So number one, first step, this is the first step, we have to make the foreign currency liability. Second step that convert to the local currency and make an asset. Means we have to sell the amount of foreign currency liability which have established now. We have to sell the foreign currency and convert it to the investment. This is the second step. And third step is overall to receive the interest. Interest is the third step based on this local currency. Now candidates moving towards the question based on received. That is the case. That is the case of received. Please read the question once. Read it now. Decide whether a forward contract hedge or money market hedge should be undertaken. Now, to remember this question, local currency is sterling, foreign currency is US dollar. Liverpool PLC is now expecting a receipt of 1.2 million US dollar 6 months time and must make a payment of $300,000 6 months time, leading to a net receipt of 900,000. So there are actually two transactions. One is receipts and number two is payments. So one strategy of internal, that is netting. But the conditions of the netting are two conditions. Number one, currency are same. This is the same case. And the timings are same, 6 months. So net exposure now become 900,000 receipts. Company treasurer has determined the following. Spot rate, once again, it's based on sterling and it's indirect code. It's an indirect code. 3 spot and 6 months. 3 months is irrelevant in this case. Money market rates, borrowing, deposits. US sterling, annual rates. And that is the working year. So we have to determine that either sterling to receive in 6 months. Number one, buy forward contract. Number one, buy forward contract. Buy forward contract. By forward contract, the amount is $900,000. We will receive and we will sell, bank will buy. Indirect code, higher one is buying. So indirect code with respect to the bank, indirect code with respect to the bank, lower is selling and higher one is buying. And we are here to sell, the bank will buy. So bank will buy the forward contract 1.6809. So that's, if we arrange the forward contract for $900,000, we will sell, bank will buy with the rate 1.6809. And we are expected to receive 900,000 divided by 1.6809. That's 535427. 535427. That is to receive in 6 months time by forward contract. And in the case of money market, hedging, what is the game about? What is the game here? Number one, candidates, the first very important thing is that we have a now in the case of received. Now it's an asset. So money market hedging says that if it's asset, you have to make the liability now. So foreign currency exposure, $900,000. We have to make a liability that's after 6 months it become 900,000. Foreign currency liability. Foreign currency US dollar, local currency sterling. Borrowing rate 6.5%. 6.5 into 6 divided by 12. That is 3.25% in 6 months. $3.25. That means we have to create a liability of US dollar 871 and 671. We have to establish a foreign currency liability 871 671. And what to do after, this is the very important point, after 6 months bank will call us and says that the time is over, your 871 671 including interest $900,000, and now we are demanding to pay us. Same time you will call to the customer and you will collect the amount to the customer of 900,000, pay to the bank. That is connected. Customer asset, bank liability become match. Point. But the candidate important point is that what to do now? If we arrange 871 671 foreign currency liability, so we have to convert in the local currency asset. 871 671 dollars asset. We have 871 671 dollars. What to do? Now we have to sell it and deposit, at least deposit in the foreign currency account. We will sell in the spot, bank will buy. Indirect code, lower one is higher one is buying. 1.7040 divided by 1.7040, and we will say that 511 544 511 544 sterling we have deposited in the local currency account, deposited in the sterling, that is 6%. And in 3 months we will receive the interest. We will receive the interest, that is 6%. That is 15346. It means total amount to receive by money market, that is 526,890. So now we have to decide from which amount we can get more, from which method we can get more, either 535,427 or 526,890. So here we are going uh, on that basis. We are expecting to receive more amount from forward. So forward is much better in this case, and that is what we have done accordingly. That's the money market hedging. That is about the money market hedging. Now I have already told you that examiner can ask you the question either section A or B. So you can attempt the question. You have to attempt this question, Edwin. Edwin. And you have to reply me accordingly. Do remember one thing in Edwin. Edwin, there are two different exposure. That is 1 month is different, 3 months is different. So 1 month exposure and 3 months exposure. You have to attempt it and reply me, respond me accordingly. That is the section B type question. Furthermore, last some more points you need to consider here. Very important things you need to consider here. And the things are relationship of foreign exchange rates. Relationship of foreign exchange rates between inflation and interest. These are two separate things. Relationship between foreign exchange rate and inflation, relationship of exchange rate and interest. And what is about the relationship? If we need to estimate, we need to estimate the foreign exchange rates for long-term purpose. For long-term purpose. What is the meaning of the long-term purpose? For example, estimate the foreign exchange rate for long-term purpose. Sorry for interruption. For long-term purpose. For example, more than 1 year. Let's suppose you are an Australian-based company and you have an investment plan in England for 5 years, and you have to estimate the NPV. For the sake of NPV, you have to estimate the exchange rate for long-term purpose. Exchange rate for long-term purpose. For example, the relationship required the Australia and England currency for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we will use the concept by name purchasing power parity theory. And in this scenario, we and in this scenario, the relationship can be establishing by estimating the spot. By estimating the spot is equal to spot now multiply by 1 plus inflation A, 1 plus inflation B. 1 plus inflation A, 1 plus inflation B. For example, let's take a case. For example, a spot Australian dollar per sterling is equal to Australian dollar 1.82 per sterling. Leave it buying and selling. And for example, and this is spot, inflation in Australia and England. For example, Australia 1.6% and 1.2%. And requirement is estimated spot for year 1 and year 2. So it's very simple. Based on this formula, estimated spot. So it's very simple. Year 0, 1, 2. Now spot Australian dollar per sterling 1.82. 1 year after, what will be the rate? We will work out accordingly. 1.82 multiplied by 1 plus inflation. So what is the question is that how to adjust the inflation numerator and denominator depends on how the rate is given. No direct and indirect. Simple. What is denominator and rate? What is numerator in rate? If the denominator Australian dollar, plotted accordingly. Sterling denominated, plotted it accordingly. 1.6, 1.2. 1 plus 1.6%, 1.2%. Now try to work out 1.82 multiply 1.06 divided by 1.02. That means the expected rate is 1.89. and plotting this 1.89, 1 plus 1.6% divided by 1 plus 1.2%, 1.965, that's 1.96 or 97. That is what and how the relationship established between inflation and foreign exchange rates. Candidates, do remember, very important point, do remember. And what is that point? In this scenario, we are estimating the estimated spot. We are estimating the spot where we have given the spot rate now, inflation A, inflation B. It may be possible the examiner twists you and estimated spot, and a spot is given for next 1 year. Spot now and next 1 year estimated spot given, and one inflation is given, for example B, and you have to identify A. It may be possible. It may be possible. Means identifying different variables. But principally, I have set this example. This is what the relationship of foreign exchange rates with inflation. With inflation. Now, the foreign exchange rates with interest. This is a separate concept. This is a separate concept. And we can say that estimate foreign exchange rates for short-term purpose. And this is called interest rate parity theory. And this is short term, short term. For example, if I say to you that we have to identify forward rate, we have to identify forward rate. So spot rate multiplied by 1 plus interest A, 1 plus interest B. Whatever we have done till now, that is about the short term. Whatever we have done till now, this is all about the short term. If we have to identify the forward rates, that's spot rate multiplied by 1 plus interest, 1 plus interest. Short term means for 6 months, for 8 months. If we need to identify the foreign exchange rates on a short term basis, the preferable will be the interest rate parity theory. Same like this example. In fact, replace the inflation with interest. Replace the inflation with interest. For example, if we continue the matter with this, an examiner given the interest rate instead of inflation, Australia, England, interest rate 1.6%, 1.2%, and requirement is calculate the forward rate for next 6 months. Forward rate for next 6 months. Then how will you calculate it? This 1.6 and 1.2% per year. You will apply it accordingly. You will say that spot is equal to 1.82 and interest 1.6% into 6 over 12. Because 6 months forward rate, 1.2% into 6 over 12. That is 0.8%, 0.6%. For 6 months, spot multiply by 1 plus interest. 1 plus interest. The rule for the numerator denominator as same as discussed earlier. 1.82 multiplied by 1 plus Australian dollar per sterling, 1 plus 0.6%. $1.84854. That is what the point is. That is the 6 months interest. If examiner asks you, number one, the theoretical point, relationship, you can do this. If examiner asks you about forward rate, short term, use the interest rate parity. Long term, purchasing power parity theory. Mathematically like this. And examiner can twist you for interest rate parity as well. Examiner can give you the forward rate, spot rate, interest A, and identify interest B. Like this. So candidates, this is what the further point has already done. And one more last thing, examiner can twist you. It's a separate thing. It's an entirely separate thing with reference to exchange rate. For example, Australian dollar per sterling 1.82 and it's mentioned plus minus 0.2. And it's mentioned that local currency Australian dollar, foreign currency sterling. So you have identified that denominator based on foreign currency, that is direct code. But what is this plus minus 0.2? Actually, you have to identify buying and selling with viewpoint of bank, always. And you know very well in the direct code, lower one is borrowing, higher one is, lower one is buying, higher one is selling. So what you will do that 1.82 minus 0.2, that is 1.80 plus 0.2, that is 1.84. So that is what one style the examiner may give you with this aspect. And you can first explore the rate which one is buying and selling. It may be for spot, it may be for forward. Same case. or the indirect code. For example, if the rate is sterling over Australian dollar, local currency Australian dollar, foreign currency sterling, 0.59, sorry, 0.5494 sterling per Australian dollar. And that is what local currency indirect code. And examiner mention you 0.5495 plus minus 0.015. And definitely you have to identify buying, selling. You can identify indirect code, higher one is buying. So 0.5495 plus 0.015 and 0.5495 minus 0.015. That is 0.5645 buying, 0.5494 minus 0.015, that is 0.5345. That is selling. Low one is selling, higher one is buying. That is one. You have to, if the examiner mention you the codes in this manner, then you will apply accordingly, either forward, either spot. So candidates, that is all for foreign exchange videos. Thank you very much from my side. And if you have any confusion, do let me know accordingly. Thank you very much. Take care a lot. Allah Hafiz.